Hey guys. Okay. So I'm doing this in my new office. If you can't really hear me, let me know the next time we connect. I'm not using the microphone because I really don't know where it is, but I really appreciate you being here. I'm really excited about this particular subject. It's called superimmunity, and we need to understand what immunity is. And one of the things that we're contemplating and discussing now, especially, is all of the stuff that's going on with COVID. So I don't want to make this about COVID, but I do appreciate you guys being here. I want to say thank you. It's so important that you are taking the time out of your day, this 30 minutes or so that we're going to be talking about, and really addressing what you may be able to do for yourself. And I'll give you some tips and things of that nature. But first, we have to understand where we are, right? So, if you apologize, I don't have all my stuff in here. So, when we look at immunity, immunity is a subject which we have to really be aware of. Inflammation reduces immunity. So any sort of inflammatory markers. So for example, a few weeks ago, I was in the hospital because I tested positive for COVID. I was in for one night, and my C-reactive protein markers were high. That's a marker in the blood for inflammation. So my body was inflamed. I was also dehydrated. So those things will depress your immune function. So you have to really be aware of how inflammatory parts in your body can really stress out your body and talk about that. But inflammation is a part of that immune function. Now, inflammation is also part of our way of telling us that, hey, something is wrong. So the aches and pains we feel, if you are depressing those aches and pains, unless you're in a situation where you need to do that, there are situations where that happens. But if you're depressing those aches and pains by taking an anti-inflammatory or something of that nature, you might be actually depressing the immune system again, and you might not be letting the immune system function the way it's supposed to. Sickness. So illness or sickness is something that you really have to look at, in the sense that most people are like, right now, so COVID-19 is a illness or a sickness that's around. Not everyone responds to it differently, responds to it the same. There are people that have passed away. There are people, I've lost a couple of people. There are people that have recovered like I have and now have the antibodies. Sickness is not always a bad thing. It helps your body identify the things that are going on in your body, to help build your immune function again. So these are things that over time, so when we're younger, we get a cold. What happens? Our body fights it and then builds up the immunity to it. Most people, as they get older, don't get as many colds, so to speak. They might get sniffles and things of that nature. But the exposures to these things helps us to build up the immunity. So when I was younger, used to play outside. I grew up in New York City, but we always found places to dig up stuff and do things. And very, very important to allow your body to be exposed to those things. One of the things that very concern of mine is, I always learned how to wash my hands when I walked into the house. Okay, before I ate food, I learned how to wash my hands. I have to go into the bathroom. These are the commonsensical things that we can do to help. But it really, now it's become so prevalent that people are so aware. They're using these antibacterial soaps, and they're using all the lotions and everything. They walk into a place, they ask you to sanitize your hands. is it good? Is it bad? You know, you really have to look at it, because sometimes some of the things that we acquire on our skins help us to acquire the immunities that we build. That's how we build our immunity. If we live in a sterile society, and I hate to use this as an example, but a society that's never been introduced to something, but the Indians didn't live in a sterile society. Their bodies were strong. The American Indians, their bodies were strong. They knew how to do things. They were approaching health from a totally different aspect. But then there was a virus introduced that they never knew. And what ended up happening is it ravaged them, because their bodies were never exposed to it. But yet, as generations went on, people started recovering and learning how to let their bodies recover. You know, so it's very important, you know, that now when you have all of this stuff going on around you, there's a balance to the way you approach things. And you know, we could have a lot of discussion about, you know, what's going on out there and things of that nature, and what the science proves. There's so many mitigating factors. There's so many discussions on one side or the other. It's definitely something that we need to look at, right? And then we look at pain. So pain is another one of those cycles that we get into. Pain can reduce your immune function again. Okay, so if you have inflammation, you usually get sick, and then you have pain. However, this cycle also is a cycle that helps us to build the immune function in our body. Pain is a sign that your body needs to rest. Okay, it's not the only thing that's there, but pain is a way to tell your body what's going on. Unfortunately, in our society, we look at pain as if we're out of pain, then we're healthy. That's not true, okay? Because you can have illness or sickness and not be aware of it within your system, like a cancer, okay? Or you can have inflammation and really not know that there's a lot of inflammation. You just might feel lethargic. So very, very important that all of these things help us to build immune function, but also can reduce our immune function dramatically, because if you add them up, it causes all of those things to happen. So pain in America, right? So more than 30% of Americans are living with some form of chronic or severe pain. Some of the numbers, that's just pain. The numbers of chronic conditions that we live with in this country is about 60%. Okay, there's about 60% of the society that has chronic conditions. That makes us prone or more susceptible to any sort of new virus or anything coming in to our society, because our bodies are not ready or prepared to take on those things. So you have people in constant chronic pain, and the chronic pain is reducing their immune function. So more people live with chronic pain than cancer, heart disease, and diabetes combined, right? So that's a very, very, very important number to look at. The numbers pointed out here are 116 million for chronic pain, 30 million for diabetes, 25.4 for heart disease, and cancer is 14.7. So this is where you start adding that other 30% of the people that are going on. This is it from the National Institute of Health. So why do we look at it? Because now we're making ourselves more susceptible to everything else that's going on too. So chronic pain, and we talk about inflammation. So I'm going to pull up the whole thing, and then we can look at the whole thing together, right? So inflammation is your body's reaction to stress. The stress can be mental or emotional. It can be physical, okay? So for someone who trains a lot and trains hard, what do? They have a lot of inflammatory things going on, but you have to let your body recuperate from that. The emotional stress can be, I mean, right now the emotional stress for a lot of people is through the roof. There's a lot of people looking for mental health help. That will help to increase your inflammatory process, and it also, like I said earlier, alerts your body to the invaders that are coming in through our bodies, right? So it's a way of learning for your body as as also something that we look at. So for the first, there's an invader in the body, right? So in this time and day and age, it's COVID-19, okay? Inflammation is one of the things that they worry about, so they try to reduce inflammation by giving you a medication. Learning how to breathe properly, things of that nature, so are very, very important. So one of the things when I had a very low pulse ox, or a very low oxygen saturation level in my blood system. That's why I ended up going to the hospital. I wasn't tired. I wasn't, I wasn't feeling really bad. Didn't have a high fever. I was just resting. And one of the things with that is because I'm used to growing up. I had chronic bronchitis. Now I haven't had chronic bronchitis, bronchial asthma, and I had a lot of problems with that when I was growing up. But as an adult, I haven't had issues for many years, 30, 35 years. So I was used to not being able to breathe. So, also doing the triathlons, you get out of breath. I mean, you're pushing yourself. You don't think so much about that. So it was not a big deal. But after 3 or 4 days, my oxygen saturation levels were reading very, very low. So I went to the hospital and they checked me. They gave me oxygen, and I was inflamed because what was it? I had an invader in my body, and it was learning how to take care of it. A lot of the times our bodies have to understand. So now my body understands how to take care of those things, and for years it has known how to take care of those things, especially from a lung aspect. The attack is launched. The antibodies are produced to try to contain the invader. That happened in my body. It learned how to take care of the COVID, needed a little help, but I truly believe that 30 or plus years of chiropractic care and the health benefits that I've been looking at, dietary, everything that's going on, rest, has helped me recover. I recovered, went in Friday morning, Saturday morning I was out. They just kept me there for observation to make sure I was okay. So it's important, it's important that, and sometimes you need medications, okay? Is it the end all be all? No, but you really have to look at it. You have to really look at it. But in that week while I was going up to it, I would get on my bicycle for 5 minutes a day. I have a trainer in my basement. Why did I do that? Keep my lungs moving, okay? You want to make sure that you keep things moving and you're doing breathing exercises. And, you're taking a deep, deep breath. There's a couple of different ways to go about it, okay? One is taking a deep breath at the top of your inspiration. So you take a little more in, and then you blow it out forcefully. Then there's another exercise in which you can breathe in as much as you can, and then you blow out forcefully. And when you get to the end of it, you blow out even more. And it almost makes you have a cough or a gag reflex. And then there's another one where you just take a couple of deep breaths, like just keep your lungs. One of the other things is too, you don't want to lie on your back, so you want to get up and move around. So, with inflammation, there's usually what they call rubor, dolor, and calor, which is redness and heat, okay, and also pain, okay. So inflammation helps to build antibodies. It's important for our body to know how to handle those things. So long-term inflammation. So this is where we were talking about what happens to the body from the immune standpoint. Persistent inflammation, okay? When you look at short-term inflammation, it has sort of a negative effect on the body, but it's also a warning signal. Long-term inflammation, this helps to, although it brings things down, what happens is it changes the way your immune function responds, okay? And what's happening is when you have long-term inflammation, that's a long time coming, and what ends up happening is your body has to learn how to handle it over the long haul, okay? And in short-term inflammation, your body is depressed very quickly, and you become more susceptible to things, right? So we look at things that have long-term inflammation, persistent inflammation can contribute to most chronic diseases, right? So osteoporosis, heart disease, diabetes, arthritis, irritable bowel, gout. These things, these things over the long haul start to break down the body and depress the immune function. So the solution here is boosting your immune function. So why do I have this here? This is the response to the system. So what happened was when I got the virus, it was how my body responded to it that helped with everything. Doesn't mean I didn't feel, like I said, I didn't really feel bad, and I feel great now. So, but Julie had it, and she was tired for like a week, her joints hurt and things, but she didn't have a fever. Okay, so it really is important to understand. And then when they looked at a study, Ron Perot was a cancer prevention research in New York, preventive medicine. He did a research and he found that individuals with cancer or other serious diseases, individuals not under chiropractic care, and individuals who receive long-term chiropractic care, immune competence did not show any decline with age. It was uniform for the whole group. So what ended up happening was they would adjust these people, and they found that their immune function, who received long-term chiropractic care, they had a 400% greater competence of their immune function. So immune competence is a very important thing, and the longer you have something, the more you have to take care of it. So factors you can control to build immunity and reduce pain. Common sense. Get your spine and nervous system checked. Why? Because of this study. It just helps. Okay. Does it mean that it's going to keep everything away? Absolutely not. What it means is that we are taking care of our bodies enough so they can respond and adapt to the situations. And need be, if you have to go to the doctor, you can. You go to the hospital, but you have to give your body the chance to heal, right? So get your spine and nervous system checked. Why? The nervous system is innately tied to the immune function of our body. There are even in the immune function system cells that mimic the autonomic nervous system, which helps to control heartbeat and things of that nature. So there's a mimic there, right? Don't smoke and drink only in moderation. So why is it drink in moderation? Well, smoking is obvious. Everybody knows what it does to the body and how bad it is for the body. And vaping now has become the big thing. Vaping is really bad for your body. It's even worse, okay? But the drinking only in moderation, for some people, having a drink at night helps them to relax. And relaxing is an important stress reliever. So the thing is, if you do it in moderation, it's not too bad. You want a diet high in fruits and vegetables and reduce sugars, right? So right now, I am in the process of reconfiguring the way I eat. Over the last several months, I've gotten way out of shape in the sense of the way I do things, and way out of balance with the foods I'm eating. So now I'm starting to add more of the fruits and vegetables. It's common sense. You got to be careful of nightshades. You got to be careful of spinach for some people. You got to look at what it is that your body is functioning. But this helps to boost your immune function and reduce inflammation. And one of the things I do is I have a workshop on reduction of inflammation with proper diet. Why is that so important? Because it helps to boost the immune function. Reduce stress. In this day and age, very hard to do. Very, 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 very hard to do. And I am not saying that it's an easy thing, but you have to find things that you enjoy doing or get your mind off things. So, some examples. What I do, okay, is I play guitar, okay? I'm not good at it. I don't get frustrated about it anymore like I used to. Like, why can't I do this anymore? Because that just stresses you out even more. And I just understand that it's a long-term process, but I can sit and I can just play scales and I'll be happy, right? Trying to learn music sometimes is complex, but it's relaxation for me. Some people like to listen to music, some calming music. That's a good way to do that. What's another tool? Reducing stress on your body physically is losing weight. If you're heavy, we'll definitely do that. Another hobby for me is running around with my dogs. Okay, just sitting, going into my backyard and playing with the dogs. Dogs, there are many studies that show dogs, cats, pets help to reduce stress, reduce blood pressure, all kinds of things. So that's something that you like. And also recently, getting back on my bicycle and doing some exercise helped to reduce stress. That leads me into increasing your exercise, right? All of these things help to boost immune function. Exercise needs to be something that you have to build into. If you can do 2 minutes of walking, great. Start there. If you can do, a 5-mile run and it doesn't even faze you, good. Start there. But understand that you always have to challenge your body a little bit so it gets that inflammatory type response, not so much, but just so your body knows how to respond to these things, and it helps to build your immune function. After running a very long race for 48 hours, so for example, if you do a triathlon, that's an Ironman distance, or any distance, actually sprint, Olympic, half iron. If you do any of those distances, for a couple of days afterwards, your body is sort of depressed, so you sort of got to give yourself space, and the immune function has to rebuild, okay? Because what happens is it gets exposed to these things, and you're tired and you're exhausted, and you should be laying down. Some people can go right back out, but you got to listen to what your body's telling you. If it's saying stop and listen, okay? The thing is, don't stop and listen for like months, like I've done. I still do activity. I'm active anyway, but those are the things that you look at. And adequate sleep. So this is what I always call the dream lifestyle: diet, rest, exercise, adjustments, and mental attitude. And these are the types of things that you can do. If you're stressed, take 3 deep breaths, and it changes your physiology and it makes you think differently. Okay, you just have to stop. We have something what we call BOSS, okay, in our office, and it's something that I learned and I teach other doctors, and I will teach you. BOSS is something simple. BOSS. So be present. Observe. So you have to observe everything that's around you. Slow down. And stop if you have to. This is how you, as the boss of yourself, can build your immune function. Because if you're not present and you're just saying, yeah, and you're not listening, and you're like, it doesn't work. You have to be present to what's going on, okay? You have to observe what's going on around you and sort of respond, but slow it down. Don't be in a rush so much, okay? Just stop, take a few deep breaths, and do this. Go boss. And just say, okay, that person just cut me off. Oh, that person cut me in line. Or, you know what? If someone cuts you in line, say, hey, excuse me, where you going? Oh, I thought the line was here. Or, in many regards, you don't know what's going on with someone else. So you have to be aware of the things that are going on around you. And if you have to stop, stop. Don't force yourself to do something that you really can't do. Okay? This is the beginning of a new way of looking at things. I want to ask you, what action steps are you going to take at this moment that will help you to stay healthier? Are you going to eat healthier? Are you just going to only change one thing, okay? Are you going to put more vegetables into your diet? Are you going to boss? Are you going to slow down, take a few deep breaths, and be present with the situation? Are you going to get up and exercise more? A lot of people, they fight and they're like, I can't do it, I don't have the time. Like, you have the time. You just have to make it a priority. So how do you make the time? Do 5 minutes a day. So an example of eating healthier. Oh, I don't have the time to cook or do things. Okay. Well, how long does it take for you to go get a cup of coffee in the morning and wait online at Dunkin' Donuts? How long does it take you to go to whatever fast food place or restaurant and wait and eat and be served. Take that time and use it to cook for yourself, make your own healthy foods. Use that time to maybe do 5 minutes of exercise, 5 minutes of breathing exercises, okay? Deep breaths, okay? Take that time to reflect upon what's going on and slow down. It's important. You have the time. And my example to you is this. I was running around. I had a dentist appointment this morning. And I was like, well, I have a half an hour. I should get something to eat. And I thought about it, and I said, well, I'm going to stop on the way home. I'm going to drop something off. And I was going to run out and get something to eat. And I was like, that's foolish. It took me 5 minutes to chop up vegetables and salad and grab a can of tuna fish, throw it into a jar, throw it into a container, pop it shut, go to the dentist, and then you eat it afterwards. It would have taken me that long just to go somewhere and get food, and then it wouldn't have been as healthy because I didn't have it. So make sure you shop at places that have healthy foods, and go around the outside of the store, because that's where the healthier foods usually are. It's a beginning. Don't ever stop. Your immunity is based upon all the choices and things that you do. Don't let it get you. Don't let anything get you. Okay? And if you're boosting your immune function and doing the things that are necessary to stay healthy, you need to share that with people. You need to say, hey, I'm going to the chiropractor. Why don't you come visit? Why don't you get checked? Okay? If you're eating healthy and you know a good place to go eat, tell people. Share the wealth. Because when we share with others and we do good for others, it comes back to us tenfold. And what ends up happening is you have a healthy community around you. And that's what we're building here. Thank you very much for listening. You have a great evening. And don't forget, look out for our open house coming sometime next year. Bye.